some of the people you know and are in consistent contact with, and I'm not even talking about narcissistic abusers here, they actually hate you. They're actually incredibly envious of you, and they don't want what's best for you. Today, we're going to talk about how to red pill from narcissistic abuse and how to wake up from the matrix of emotional abuse. There's a reason why I don't do this in a Scouse accent. It's hard to do. It's not impossible, but it's hard. I'm telling you now, it's hard to do psychoanalytic theory talking like this. I'm from the Wirral. I actually don't talk like that, but it does amuse me sometimes too. So that's not Scottish. Some Americans are in the comment, oh, he actually has a Scottish accent. It's Scouse. It's from Liverpool. It's from Merseyside. Right. So this is how we red pill from narcissistic abuse. So I've given this metaphor from the movie The Matrix, that when you're in a narcissistically abused, I'm now sounding more Scouse, aren't I? It's lingering. It's lingering there. So when you're in the Matrix, like Neo wakes up in a pod, but Neo has been living what he thinks is a normal life. He thinks, I think he's a computer programmer, or he works in an office or something, and he's a normal guy living a normal life. That's his perceived reality. But in real reality, he's stuck in a pod full of pink goo being used as a human battery. He's being used for his life force, for his energy. So I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of what that does to the target. And then I'm going to show you how to red pill from it. And then I'm going to give you a couple of exercises from my course on how to recover from it, so that you can actually do these exercises today and you can start to make a little bit of progress for yourself. So because you're in an environment of constant criticism, where you're constantly under the eye of Sauron and you're constantly being judged, your confidence begins to wear away, and your sense of self and your sense of having a right to be, and your sense of even having a right to question what's happening to you, it just all gets worn down, and you start to feel like, oh, there's no point being confrontational. I don't want to start another fight. It's so exhausting, because very often people with narcissistic personality disorder, they have this seemingly unlimited energy and ability when it comes to confrontation, and it comes to conflict, and it comes to drama. Indeed, in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that the American Psychiatric Association has, this narcissistic personality disorder falls into a constellation of disorders called cluster B. But did you know that's also referred to as the dramatic cluster? So there's big time drama in antisocial personality disorder, narcissism, histrionic, and borderline. It's noted diagnostically by how drama-esque the whole thing is. Over time, your ability to do effective reality testing breaks down because you're so emotionally dysregulated. The part of you that is responsible for understanding morality, right and wrong, is hacked. Not necessarily consciously by the narcissist, but it's a de facto effect of the relationship. So that matrix space, that shared fantasy space, it breaks down our ability to process moral truth. And you might think, well, I'm not trying to write a philosophy PhD, mate. I'm trying to get out of a negative relationship here. Okay, but how are you going to get out of a negative relationship? How are you going to get a foothold and a handhold to do that if you can't tell right from wrong? If you can't tell right from wrong, and I come home and I start screaming at you, or I stonewall you and I'm suddenly cold and withdrawn, if you don't have that moral boundary there to say, this is wrong, this is abusive, this is unfair, what are you going to do about it? I've gone really Scouse for this one. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Who do you think you're talking to? Ooh, I spat everywhere. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm ruining your equipment. I've got to stop this. Sorry. I've been possessed by the spirit of Scouseness now. So you won't have the ability to say, no, I'm not letting you do this. This is an essential component to being able to red pill from an emotionally abusive relationship and to being able to get out. So the red pill is the gnosis. So some of you might know Gnosticism was like there's Jewish, Christian, and Islamic Gnosticism. But we actually have a word, we don't use it anymore, but in Scouse, my grandparents used to use it. Gnosis meant knowledge, it meant understanding. My grandparents, former generations in the Merseyside area would say, use your nous, use your nous. That's gnosis, that's literally gnosis. It's the same etymological root. And it means use your wisdom, use your ability to discern right from wrong. It is wrong if your partner suddenly stonewalls you and is cold and withdrawn. It is wrong if your partner gets on one and starts interrogating you and harassing you and provoking you into arguments. It is wrong if your partner cheats on you. But if you lack that moral foundation and you can't tell right from wrong, you're going to struggle to red pill and say, okay, something's really, really wrong here. That's the red pill moment. That's the Gnostic enlightenment moment. The Gnostics would enlighten by saying, this reality, this ain't real. And they said this is a constructed reality by an evil demiurge called Yaldabaoth and the Archons, which in our scenario, we will call the Narcons. The Archons are the lords of a simulated world, and they're there to imprison humanity. They're there to imprison spirit in flesh. So the Narcons in it's like a microcosmic version of that in the abusive relationship. The purpose of it is to steal your time, your attention, your spiritual energy, your libidinous energy, your life force, your very soul to be drawn away by a parasitic evil entity. Because in the Gnostic philosophy, Archons couldn't create anything. They're not creators, but they can control and manipulate. They're not capable of authenticity or original thought. So they need humans, the human spirit, real spirits, real souls, authentic souls, and they need to draw from them. They need to steal from them. So in a situation where emotional abuse has taken place over a long time, is an interesting thing. I actually learned more about this recently doing research for another YouTube video on neuroscience you probably saw a couple of weeks ago. There's parts of your brain that over time with trauma begin to, I don't know if in neuroscience the correct word is atrophy. If it was a muscle, it would be atrophy. Let's say atrophy. They shrink with lack of use and with abuse and with trauma. The hippocampus, which probably is responsible for assigning appropriate emotion to memories, shrinks. Don't worry, all of this can be brought back. The part of your brain that processes morality and knowing whether things are right or wrong, I think, is the ventromedial in the prefrontal cortex. And when they scan both the abuser, they're shrunken in these areas, they're atrophied in these areas. So the abuser lacks the capacity to have empathy and to morally decide whether what they're doing is morally right or not. So that part of their brain is effectively offline. So that's why when you challenge them, they don't care about morality. They don't care about empathy. They don't care about compassion. It doesn't interest them. That part of their brain is literally shrunken. But when you check the targets, people who have complex post-traumatic stress and post-traumatic stress responses, you have similar areas of atrophy in the brain. So we end up with almost like a mirror image of the brain of the narcissist by the areas of the brain that are affected, but not by their activation. Don't worry, you haven't become a person with narcissistic personality disorder because you're not predatory. You're not trying to exploit people. That's how you know. But there are parts of your brain that start to malfunction around this, and then you can't make that distinguishment. You can't say, I know that this is wrong. So the first step towards red pilling and liberation is the realization this isn't a relationship. I'm with you. You're telling me you love me, or you're telling me if it's a family member, you're my mother and you love me, or if it's in a workplace environment or a friendship or anywhere, you're being fed a propagandized version of reality. That's the simulation. But the real reality is, I don't care about you. I'm using you. You're a thing. You're a slave, and you will do as you're told. or else. So that's the unseen undercurrents of the relationship. And effectively, it creates a cult-like environment, which is why I called my book, A Cult of One. So you have one follower and one leader inside of a narcissistic relationship. But if you explore cult psychology, which I have done now over the past few years with my friend Mark Vicente, who's famously a whistleblower for the Nixium cult, he's taught me about cult psychology, and it's incredible how much it maps on to narcissistic abuse. But it's a microcosm of a cult because there's just two people inside of it. So the first step in your gnosis, the first step in your red pill is to say, this isn't a loving relationship. This is a closed cultic system. You're using me. That's step one. Then we're beginning to awaken. And the awakening is painful. Red pilling, achieving Satori, achieving gnosis hurts. It's not nice. Just like in the film. Neo didn't wake up in the pod and go, oh, this is great. I'm in a really good mood. I feel fine here. He wakes up horrified. He's pulling tubes out of himself. He's completely bald. And then he looks around and he sees the horror of the real reality, not the simulated reality. The real reality is he's been a human battery. He's not even a slave. He's less than a slave. All he is a power source for an evil system that does not care about him, that wants him totally subjugated. The system hates him. Here's an interesting thing, and it's been on my mind for the last week. I think it's important for us as human beings to be able to recognize when there are people in our lives who do not love us. And I don't mean love in the romantic sense. I mean, they don't have good intentions for us. There are actually people in our lives who hate us. And we can be a little bit blind to that because we don't want to see it because it's nasty. It's a dark reality. But some of the people you know and are in consistent contact with, and I'm not even talking about narcissistic abusers here, they actually hate you. They're actually incredibly envious of you and they don't want what's best for you. There are systems in your life. There are institutions, maybe even government. I'm not paranoid. I'm not saying it's the government, but it might tell you it's there for your protection and actually have nothing but contempt and loathing for you. Institutions, clubs, groups, people, businesses. We need to have that discernment to say, these people don't like me. They're telling me they love me. They're telling me that they want to support me. They're telling me they want what's best for me, but it's not true. We must have that discernment. Once you've been able to name that you've been in a covert contract, that you've been tricked into the matrix, that it's a bait and switch situation, then you can call out the hypocrisy. You can actually say, maybe to the person, if it's safe or useful, but definitely to yourself, and hopefully with like a therapist, a coach, or a counselor, I've been lied to. This person told me reality was this, but the real reality is this. That's when you are dangerously waking up. That's when you're in great danger of leaving the narcissistic, the abusive relationship permanently and going on to live a healthy, happy life as a more enlightened, in the Jungian sense, more individuated human being who can see the world and the people in it with greater clarity. This is called maturity. This is called adulthood. And it is a good thing. It means you're less of a mark. It means that you're less likely to get had off or robbed or exploited or used, instrumentalized in some way. So being able to name it and being able to say, you told me this, but what actually happened is this, is very, very powerful. You might not need to do it directly to the person. There could be negative consequences from that, but you do need to be able to tell yourself. And you do, ideally, you should be able to tell a therapist, a coach, or a counselor as well. Once you've done that, which takes great courage and great bravery to red pill from the Matrix. Neo's decision to take the red pill is presented in the film and is obviously an act of tremendous courage because the reality he faces beyond that is not a very nice one. It's in the Matrix law, it's conflict. It's confrontation. There is a great evil. You've red pilled to it. Yeah. What's my reward? Well, now you have to fight that evil for the rest of your life. Thanks very much. Can I maybe go back to sleep instead? Can I still do the blue? No, you can't do the blue pill. That option's gone now. You woke up. Sorry, mate. So once you've done that, you've won the right with your courage to challenge the given truths of the relationship. Could be with a family member, could be with a romantic partner, could be with your culture, could even indeed be with the institutions that govern you. We can challenge the given truths, the given assumptions, the given coordinates of the map of reality we've been fed. I want to give you 3 exercises that will help you to do this. This is direct. I have the course open on my phone. I'm flexing that because I'm saying you can do my course via your phone if you want to. No, it's just convenient for me to do it. So this is from the new course, which is the complete guide to deprogramming from narcissistic abuse. And this is from module 2. I'm going to give you 3 exercises. You can start doing them today. It will help you. The first one is where you identify the bait. So write down with a pen and a piece of paper, take a pen in the real world and a piece of paper in the real world. If you're still stuck in an abusive relationship and you're worried about people reading journals, destroy it afterwards. You write down the bait. So you need, as the person trying to achieve gnosis, as the person who's trying to wake up inside of the simulated reality, to feed back to yourself so that your consciousness can elevate and see what the reality of the situation is. So we need you to write down, what was the bait? How was I lured into this situation? What was I promised? Whether it's a family relationship, work relationship, romance relationship, it's the same drill. It's the same strategy. You write out the exact fantasy that you were promised, and on your first go around of this exercise, try to note 3 moments it was dangled in front of you and 3 ways it was denied. Just 3. So we keep it conservative. You're not going to red pill all in one day. You're not going to achieve gnosis all in one day. This is slow, steady, safe. So you want to identify the bait, how you were lured in. You want to write out the fantasy that you were promised by this person, that this would be the perfect job. That your mother, if you just kept on trying, would eventually show up as a mother and she would finally love you and validate you, or your father, whoever it was. That this would be your perfect girlfriend, that this guy would be the perfect husband. That's the fantasy. Note 3 moments that fantasy was dangled in front of you and 3 ways that you know it was denied. Write it out so that you can then go to sleep, wake up, and look at it the next day. The second exercise, this is from module 2. It's called a sacrifice ledger. So draw a timeline from first contact with this person to the present. So you're now trying to wrap your head around the reality outside of the gaslighting, outside of the propaganda, outside of what's being fed to you by the matrix simulation. What really happened here? Okay, let's create a timeline from the first contract that runs through to the present, from the first contact where you got your covert contract, sorry for the linguistic slip there, to the present. Mark on that timeline each significant compromise of values that you can recall. Each significant compromise of boundaries or independence in order for you to stay on script. So don't go nuts over this. Just have a go on your first go. Here's the timeline. Where did I compromise on my values? Where did I compromise on my boundaries? What specific situations did I let that person get away with saying or doing something that I would never normally let somebody do? And what script was I trying to stay on? What game was I trying to play that caused me to forego those boundaries? The third exercise is it's called the Given Truth Challenge. So on one page, state the core assumption: they are a good person. Whoever it is, your mum, your boss, your whoever the problem person is, it's a given assumption, or the institution maybe. They're good. They are good. Of course they're good. Of course, this would be the Gnostics. Of course God is good. And the Gnostics were like, no, that's Yaldabaoth. That's the demiurge, lad. He's trying to have you off again, kid. It's ridiculous now. you want to do that, and then you want to challenge it. You want to challenge all those given truths and say, no, the person who's in charge here doesn't have my best interest at heart, doesn't care about me, doesn't love me, just wants to dominate me. So on one page, you state the core assumption, they're a good person, and then you write down a few things that you think that one part of your brain is telling you, yeah, I know they're good because. So you write down, they're a good person, and I know they're good because. On another page, you list the concrete evidence that contradicts it. You list the things they did, not what they said. It's very easy to propagandize, oh, I'm a good person, I love you, I would never cheat on you, I'd never this, I'd never that. On the next page, you write down evidence, things they've done, things you've seen, things you've heard, things you've witnessed that contradict this idea, this given truth that they are a so-called good person. Read both of them aloud to observe internal dissonance and to try and get release. Here's another little tip. You can do this on a phone. Most smartphones have the ability to voice record. So you take page one where you say they're a good person, or it's a good institution, or they're a good mother. This is the evidence for that. And then you go to page two and you read all that aloud, but you read it into your voice recorder. You read it into your voice recorder. Leave it for a day, go asleep, wake up the next day and listen. Listen to how you sound describing that they're a good person, and listen to how you sound and the inflection and the tone of your voice when you talk about the concrete evidence that contradicts the given truth that they're a good person. And let me know in the comments what you find. Let me know in the comments what you hear. I'd be very, very interested to hear that from you. Let me know what you can hear. Let me know what you come up with by doing this exercise. That's these are exercises from module 2 of a course that's currently 15 modules long. In the end, over the next few months, it will eventually be 22 modules long. I'm still working on it. And it is the complete guide to deprogramming from narcissistic abuse. If you would like to get it, it's available now from richardgrannon.com. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and for your attention. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.